Scientists seeking a cure for the deadly Ebola virus have found 2 experimental drugs to be highly effective in treating the disease in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
An outbreak of Ebola has killed at least 1,800 people there in the past year. For more, let's speak to Dr. AnneMarie Pegg from Médecins, Sans Frontières. She joins us now from Paris. Dr. AnneMarie Pegg, thank you so much for your time tonight. These 2 new treatments, how effective are they and how do they work?
In terms of effectiveness, it's a bit difficult to say because, like a treatment for any serious illness, there's a lot of other factors that play a role, including supportive care, but also most notably how soon the person arrives at the center. The results of the trial that have shown these 2 medications to be relatively effective in treating cases have shown that if people arrive early with a level of virus circulating in their blood that is still relatively low because they're quite early in their illness, that these treatments can be up to 90% effective in curing the Ebola virus, which is fantastic news, but also highlights the importance of the early arrival and the early diagnosis, and the fact that people need to arrive in the centers relatively early in their illness in order to benefit from this new therapy.
So can they be used immediately in the DRC, or are they still in the trial stages?
There has been a randomized control trial looking at a number of therapeutic agents that's been ongoing for the last number of months in the DRC. With the release of these results, that trial will likely be wrapping up in its current form, and there'll be some discussion as to whether other trials will be necessary in order to further delineate some of the benefits more specific to the 2 medications, whether there are other factors that should be considered. But the current trial, which has shown these medications to be relatively effective, will be winding up.
How do you categorize this current outbreak in the DRC? More than 2,800 people infected since August last year. Almost 1,900 of them have lost their lives.
I think if I had to use one word, it would certainly be complex. It's the 2nd largest outbreak recorded. Certainly it hasn't touched the numbers of the West Africa outbreak in 2014, 15, 16, and we hope that it will not. But certainly the context in which this outbreak has unfolded has posed some particular challenges in terms of mobility for aid workers, in terms of responders, have had to navigate an area of conflict, most notably. It's a highly densely populated area with a lot of movement of the population within the region, which has also posed some challenges for people responding to the epidemic. And it has been an epidemic which has benefited from scientific developments and research developments from previous epidemics. And notably, these medications represent these developments. Vaccination also represents these developments. And while there are challenges, it's also an encouraging sign to see that research can be undertaken in difficult and complex environments, and that benefit can be seen from that research.
How are the vaccinations going? Is the rate of uptake high?
The popularity of vaccination does remain quite high. Unfortunately, the strategy that's used currently for the vaccination doesn't permit what we would call a mass vaccination campaign. So everybody living in the area is not eligible to receive that vaccine. It's a targeted vaccination activity that aims to protect those at the highest risk. So healthcare workers definitely are in that group. And then people who are in contact with a case of Ebola and the contact of those contacts. And certainly one of the biggest challenges in implementing that strategy has been identifying all of those contacts, and then certainly identifying all of the contacts of contacts to create that ring of protection around a case. And with the challenges that I mentioned before, population density, population movement, some security challenges, identifying all of those contacts and then being able to find them and vaccinate them and follow them has been a particular challenge.
Last month, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak a global public health emergency because Ebola was detected in Goma on the border with Rwanda, and there's a population of 2 million people there. Has it spread to Goma?
There have been 4 confirmed cases in Goma. There has been, I'm not entirely sure of the last date, but it's been approximately 2 weeks, as far as I can remember, since the last confirmed case in Goma. So certainly the risk is still there in terms of contacts of those cases and potential spread within the city of Goma. And certainly, again, with the movement of the population in that area, Goma remains a significant risk as there are a lot of people coming and going from the greater region into the city. It's a major commercial and trade hub.
Dr. AnneMarie Pegg, good to get your thoughts tonight.
Thank you. Good night.